Trucker Dave here, and today I'm going to tell you what an E.L.D. is. Now, before you all tune out, let me just explain. I'm not going over rules, regulations, and all that. I get a lot of questions from a lot of my non-truck driver friends of what exactly an E.L.D. is. And it's called an electronic logging device. Now, what we used to do was use logbooks, and it's basically your logbook. So I'm just going to go over real briefly and show how these things work, and hopefully you like what you see. I'm going to try to make it interesting, so let's get with it. Okay, I had to get out of the sun. It was making it a little hard to film up there. So, we'll go over a little history. In 1939, they adopted the hours of service for truck drivers. Well, the government decided to take something that wasn't broken in 2004 and fix it. So now we have all new rules and laws and all that, but we still have to log them. Back in the old days, this is what we used. It was a logbook. You had these that were all stapled together, or you could get them in loose leaf form. I have both in the truck. One's for when my electronic log breaks. We'll go over that. And because I'm required by law to keep a backup paper log. So, but in a nutshell, this is how you recorded your day. It was your logbook. You kept your hours of service. You could write them up here, and you filled out your day. You know, you had your notes here and your 4 lines, and that was your off duty right here, sleeper berth, driving, and on duty for your loading and unloading. That's what you did. Now, that kind of rules hasn't changed. You know, we used to have these neat rulers, and they actually work with this so you can figure out your day a lot easier, and it just helps keep things neat and clean. The rules here haven't changed. They've just become digitized now. So we'll go over that here in a second. Before we get to that, this is going to get a little confusing. I'm going to try to explain this as easily as I can. I'm dealing with the hours. You'll hear truck drivers say, I have hours of service. And you do. You can work 70 hours in 8 days. Now, within that 70 hours in 8 days, there are 3 other clocks. Every day I have a 14-hour clock. That is my window that I can work in. Once I start the clock, I have 14 hours. I also, within that 14 hours, I have an 8-hour clock. So, once I start, I have to take a break after 8 consecutive hours of working. I have to take a half-hour break. But that 8-hour clock actually fits in an 11-hour clock. So within the 14 hours, I have 11 hours of total driving I can do, but I have to take a half-hour break after 8. So that all fits into a 70-hour and 8-day clock. A little confusing, but once you get used to it, it's not bad. Now, the other clock is once my 14 hours is up, or my 11 hours worth of driving is up, and all that has been calculated, I have to take 10 hours off duty. So I have to have a 10-hour break. Now, the one thing that the new rules did add is they added a wrinkle. Since everything has to be logged and it's all hooked up to the truck's computer that shows rolling, there is what's now called line 5. It's off duty, but it's called personal conveyance. Now, you'll hear the rules varied. I'm not going to go over the rules. Personal conveyance is basically driving off duty for personal business, like if your load's not ready and you're going to go out to the truck stop and finish your 10-hour break or something like that. A lot of companies take the rules and they'll add their own little wrinkles to them, what they want you to do, what they don't want you to do. I'm not going to discuss any of that. But personal conveyance is just that. It's personal. It's not for the transportation of any load. Like I'm bobtail right now. If I want to go to Walmart I don't have to log it. I can go down line 5, personal conveyance. We call it line 5, but it's actually on line 1. So now that I've thoroughly confused you, let's go take a look at the E-log and I'll explain that. Now this right here is the box you hear all the truck drivers cursing. A lot of them have tablets. I have the old style. This was the onboard data recorder, the A.B.O.R.G. system, and they just updated it. I'm hoping to get a tablet here soon, you know, and it's just a regular tablet like the one you get with your, you know, like the one most of you guys have. So some of the features here: onboard emergency recording. There's a camera right there. The default home, the workflow, navigation, messaging. But this is the one we're interested in. So I'll hit that right there. And right now, so if I want to start a rest break, I hit this button. So I'm on personal conveyance right now, so I hit rest break. Do I want to start rest break? No, I really don't. So I'll hit that. And if I want to see the logs like we were talking about, I hit logs. And there we are. This is what they look like. My off duty, my sleeper berth, my driving, my on duty. These are like my pre-trip, fueling, and loading. And hit this button. It gives me all the details. It's not going to give me all the details because the day's not done yet. It shows that I have 5 hours and 26 minutes left. I've done 437 miles today. And I've got 867,000 on the... Wow, I do have a lot of miles on the truck. Current engine hours, blah, blah, blah. Where I'm at. And, you know, it does that today. Now, if you go the day before, it's not going to show you your hours. It's just going to show the miles. I did 659 miles yesterday. So, if I want to go back to the grid, this is yesterday. They color code it. This is for PC. This is off. This is driving, and this is on duty. So they're all color coded. And so basically, it's the same as the paper log. It's just on the computer. The only difference is you can't really screw with this one like you could the paper. Now I know we all have our own personal views on the E-log and the E-log system. Well, at least the truck drivers do. Most people don't like it. A lot of them do. Yeah, it keeps you out of trouble and all that to a point, but you can still get in a lot of trouble with an E-log if you're not doing, you know, what you're supposed to do. You do the same thing you did on paper, except you have to do it differently. You know, instead of signing your logbook, you have to certify them. That's why that certify button was at the corner there. And instead of writing, you know, your shipping information and all that down, you enter it into a computer. And like right here. This is from the other day. It tells me what trailer I had, what I was hauling. I have to put the name of the shipper and the commodity. They want that for some reason, and the trailer number that I was hauling. Now, if I want to move to a different line or a different status of driving, I just hit change status. You got the on driver. This for driving. On if I'm not a driver, like I have a co-driver. Sleeper berth, SB. I sign out if I want. PC for personal conveyance. Or yard move. And what the yard move is you're loading or unloading, and you know, you're fueling and all that. They had to call it something. They called it yard move. They just couldn't. I don't know why they just didn't call it on duty, but I don't know. And like I said, we went over the logs, the driver options. You know, if I need to request the logs, get a diagnostic, a roadside inspection. You know. A lot of these things only come on if I'm on duty. So, what's that? Driver options. Oh yeah, we just did that. So yeah, Like the resources here, this won't come on if I'm off duty. So I have to go on duty, and I'm not doing that because I'm off duty. Now, there are a lot of different systems out here that people use, but the fundamentals are all the same. They all do the same exact thing. A log is a log is a log, no matter who puts it out. So you have to find one that fits what you're doing. The only disadvantage to this new over the old E.L.D. that I had was this doesn't calculate my hours over 8 days. Like I said, after 8 days, you start recapping hours. So I have to write it all down on a piece of paper and keep track of that myself because technology has put me back 12 years. So we have to do that now. As with anything, electronic devices are subject to breaking. They're only as smart as the guy that's programmed them, just like your logbook was only as smart as the guy that filled it out. It's a mechanical, well, it's an electronic device. It's not mechanical, but it's electronic, but it's subject to everything electronic devices are subject to. It's Windows based and all that, and it's got its pros and cons. It's basically its own little PC computer, and they do break. So when they do break, like I said earlier, I have a paper log, and everything that I did on that e-log I do on the paper log, but I have to write it all down and make it into a manual form. So I said I'd go over with that, about the paper log and what happens when they break. And that's what happens. They break, you run on paper. You have to call up and have them email you or download a copy of your last 8 days to have on hand. And you have a finite amount of time to get it fixed. If it breaks, you need to get it fixed as soon as possible. Because if you don't, you'll get a ticket. Because the officer is going to wonder why you were at the shop 4 times and never got your log fixed. So, something to be mindful of. I know this video really wasn't all that long. There's not a whole lot to it. I wish I could show you some more exciting stuff. There's just not anything happening. It's 2 days until Christmas. There's nothing going on out here. I mean, I'm in Liberal, Kansas. This place is a ghost town right now. Everybody's home. So, this is really not a good time of year for content. I'm hoping to bring you something a little more interesting here soon. We should have some Torino parts when I get home, and hopefully if I can get a hold of a trailer, we're going to do another Crown Vic video. So, I'm getting kind of excited about that. So, I hope you like this. I hope it wasn't too dull. Please like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you later. Thanks a lot.